Am I the asshole here for getting an apartment and not telling my husband that I'm moving out? We've been married for a year and a half. Before we got married, he caught me texting my ex. I immediately cut ties with my ex, but since then, my husband has been obsessed with my ex. For 2 years, he's said things like, "Why don't you call your ex and see if he'll come help you? Maybe your ex will take you back since you won't take out the trash." I get it. I broke his trust, and I deserved the treatment he has been giving me. In the last 6 months, he has gotten so much worse. He has threatened to call the cops and have me arrested because I pushed him back after throwing out items that belonged to my children and said I assaulted him. I know what I did was wrong. I have spent over 2 years dealing with it and trying to make it up for being unfaithful. At what point is enough though? Do I deserve to be belittled in front of my kids? Do I deserve to be told that I'm the reason that I can't hang out with my friends because they may allow me to go be with another man? I have lost all my individualism because I was texting my ex only a couple of months after we broke up, and I still am getting items from his house. I know I'm the asshole when it comes to the beginning and texting my ex, but after 2 years, if there is still no trust, should I stay or go? I started looking for an apartment and got one first try. Won't be ready for another month, and at which time I need to pay rent and security deposit, so I've been putting all my money aside to pay for it. I asked my husband 3 weeks ago why he married me. He responded with repeating the question and asking me, which I had written down so I could hand it to him. I said I asked first, in which he replied, "Because I love you." I said, "But why?" Nothing. He stopped talking about it and nagged me for not taking out the trash after making dinner and doing dishes. I feel more like a slave than a spouse most days. I finally gave him the piece of paper with the reasons I married him, most of which those are now the reasons I want to divorce him. I don't feel safe or confident in sharing anything with him because he tells his friends. Like, I told him I tried butt stuff once because it was a conversation, and I said I don't want to ever do it again. But because I did it, I was able to find out a medical thing that I was having and had surgery. About a month later, we were in the bar, and he told his friends, and I was the butt of the joke all night. I mentioned it to him and how it made me feel, and he said that I deserved it because I was talking to my ex behind his back. Every once in a while, it is brought up. Even for my birthday last year, I got a butt plug as a joke. He never responded to the paper. He read it and said thanks. It's been 3 days, and I'm boiling inside because even after being vulnerable and allowing myself to let him know that he still, aside from saying I love you, has any reason why to be married to me. Love isn't enough at this point. I'm done being his punching bag and him always saying I deserve it after 2 years. Should I tell him that I'm moving out in a month, or just tell him after I get the keys? Am I the asshole here? Edit. I've known my husband for 6 years prior to being married. I was talking to my ex about getting items from his house, how the phone bill was going to work, getting the utilities out of my name, getting the lease out of my name. My husband asked me not to talk to him, and I was. So I lied about being in communication with him. He thought my friend was talking to him for me. I was not dating my husband before I moved out. My ex and I had been broken up, but living together for 3 months prior to me leaving also. Quiet Village 1425 says, wait till you move in, get a storage unit, and move stuff slowly. On the day of the move-in, do it while he's at work and have a mover come help you. Tell the landlord if you're on the lease. Good riddance. Nearby Day says, you can always ask for a sheriff in the US to supervise to move if you feel like he's going to be an asshat. It makes it a lot quicker, at least in the states I've been in. Short Classroom says, from personal experience, I didn't say a single damned word. He left on a business trip, and when he came back, I was moved out and he had no idea where I was. He just got divorce papers left on the kitchen counter. It's safer to just get out and tell them after you're gone. Quote, before we got married, he caught me texting my ex. So for the past 2 years since then, you have tried to make amends and he has belittled you. Why did he propose and marry you then? So he could torture you about it? He should have just broken up then. Tell him after you get the apartment. Not sure if he may or may not get violent, not the asshole. Selkie's Art says, the fact that she wasn't even trying to get with her ex, but to dissolve their apartment and close a shared phone bill and stuff, makes this even worse. OP didn't even cheat or try to cheat. Yeah, he has no leg to stand on for this continued abuse, and it doesn't make any sense why he would marry you if he thought you were being unfaithful. How is you talking to your ex to break off phone bills a red flag? What a disgustingly immature and insecure person that thinks, oh, well, if you have an ex, you're supposed to go completely no contact with them. Sorry, man, but live in the real world for a second. Plenty of people can maintain amicable relationships with their ex. It is not a black or white world. And this is why it's important to have a support network, and it's important to have boundaries for yourself so that you can mitigate the chance of being abused by people like this OP's husband. Telling people about his behavior, asking if it is normal or if it is abusive, and how they can help you, how you can help yourself get out of a situation like that early on before you're 2 years married to them and under their thumb. I think that's a really important resource to have. I think it's important to have a community around you because right now it doesn't sound like she has anyone there to support her. Definitely not the asshole for getting an apartment. Get out of there and protect yourself as much as you can. And now, onto the update. I want to start off by saying I didn't have an emotional affair, sexual affair, or any kind of affair with my ex after moving out. Just finalizing all the breakup stuff from living together. Here we are, a little over a month, and I've been in my apartment for almost a month now. It got harder to continue biting my tongue, knowing I was going to be leaving. It wasn't supposed to be ready till the beginning of November, but they finished it earlier. The week before I got the keys, we had a blowout over getting fast food for our hungry children after a sporting event. They got their food and went home. His daughter had went back home to her mother, and I have my children more than he does, by about 17 days a month. The following weekday, he took the day off without my knowledge and brought home an old car that he just had to buy. He wasn't home when we had gotten home. He was at the bar, and I was stunned he went without me, and when I have my children. His thing was we always never go to the bar without each other. Apparently, it was only me not allowed to go without him. We got into an argument over how he couldn't buy fast food for our kids, but he has no problem going out and buying a car without consulting me. How he had went to a bar, and if I had done that, I would have gotten in trouble by him, and consequences to me going. Red flag, red flag, red flag. He went on telling me how it's different because I have responsibilities, and his don't live with us. So I said, I'm leaving, I can't handle this anymore, and how is it okay for you to do A, B, C, and I can't go anywhere? I don't think he thought that I was serious, even after bringing home boxes and having my children pack their stuff. I pulled into the driveway with 7 people and a U-Haul, and we loaded all of mine and my children's belongings, and I moved. He helped pack it up, but didn't come over to my new place until he decided to surrender our dog to me as he doesn't have time for him. Yet another red flag. We agreed to continue to date. We went out for my birthday, but I said I wanted to take separate vehicles. He wasn't happy about that, but I'm glad I did. One of my friends came and all of his did. They wouldn't talk to me, acknowledge me, and they did a birthday shot and wished me a happy birthday while I was in the bathroom and didn't even have an extra for me. So I left with my girlfriend and her husband. I didn't say bye to anyone, and a fight ended up breaking out because I didn't say bye to my friends and said bye to a few others. My husband accused me of meeting up with another man because I was definitely not going to his place. When I explained to him how I was treated, including how he treated me, he responded with, "Nobody knew how to act about our situation." I asked him if he told them the truth about how I moved out because of the way that he treated myself, my children, and that I had enough of trying to talk to you and you not taking accountability for everything. He said if I acted like the other wives and be seen and not heard, that maybe they would have talked to me. PSA, if you're married to someone who doesn't allow you to be yourself, leave. We've been amicable, agreed on what he is keeping and what I am keeping. He just wanted us off his health insurance. I've been better, more relaxed, and my children are happier. I'm more confident in my position at work that I had been so doubtful on since I was promoted. I haven't felt like I'm in survival mode anymore. I'm living again, broke because starting over and buying things over again has really sucked. I've been reconnecting with my friends that I hadn't seen or spoken to since we married. I'm crocheting, reading, having conversations with my children that they didn't feel comfortable talking about when we lived with him. I've found me again. The few interactions we had, he accuses me of leaving him for another man. He is driven by my new place, and I have it on surveillance in case he wants to be a jerk. A friend of mine that I've known since elementary school asked me what we had in common and what made me want to marry him. The more I sat there and thought, because I couldn't think of anything other than my family thought that this is what I needed and whom I needed to marry and be with. He's been at the bar almost daily because I'll get text messages from people who see him, or I'll get drunk texts from him trying to start an argument. I spoke with his ex-wife because I was wondering how his child is doing with everything going on. She expressed that they are happier, that they aren't forced to spend more time with their dad anymore. She said this situation sucks, and she wished that he had changed from when they were married. I asked her what she meant. She proceeded to tell me that their children were never good enough, and he nitpicked them. She said she couldn't chew gum because there would be consequences if she did. He accused her of having an affair with every person that she came in contact with. I just sat there in awe. She asked how my children were doing with the change, and I expressed their change in behavior and the activities they loved doing, they are doing them again unapologetically. It was very refreshing to know that 10 years ago, she, the ex-wife, made the same decision that I had made today. I can't wait until the divorce is final and I'm free. I'll live paycheck to paycheck before I would ever go back. Edits. We tried dating after I moved out to try and work things out, and I really just wanted him to stand in my shoes to understand why I left. He didn't, he wouldn't, and my birthday, which was just days after I moved out, showed me that he wouldn't understand or see his faults. We are being amicable as we are not using lawyers, just divorcing, and I filed, which is pretty cut and dry. I don't want to be with him, and he's made it clear the only way he would continue to be with me is if I lived with him again. When I said that it was refreshing to know that she made the same decision I made, is regardless of what he tells people, she knows and understands. I'm in therapy. She was the one who helped me plan a safe leave. I have zero intentions of dating anyone for a long period of time. I have 10 years before my children are both graduated from school. I plan to just take care of us. Another common body says, quote, we agreed to continue to date. Are you still dating him after everything he had done to you? I hope you put yourself and your children first during the divorce. This man will not change whatsoever, so please put that in mind for your children. As always, be careful. Because it's better to have a piece of shit than no one? They don't have kids in common. There is no need to ever see or speak to this jackwagon again, unless you don't think you deserve better, which is sad. It's sad that some people have these kinds of thoughts, but you never know what kind of verbal abuse happened to her as well. I hope she gradually moves him out of her life, since they have no kids together. Aquatic Stoner says, oh God, it kills me that she agreed to date after moving out. She needs a clean break from that. Cheery Bottom says, she probably did it to get out safely. I said the same thing to my ex when I moved out. I promised that when I was ready to date again, I would give him first dibs at dating me before I dated another man. I only promised those things so he would let me go and move out. I never dated him again and certainly never rekindled a relationship with him. Once I was out, I got a new phone and never looked back. What the hell does consequences mean? Why are there two women talking about how there were consequences like that was a normal thing and not a feature in a horror movie? These are grown women. Not that it matters, I guess, since he's also terrible to children. My friend used to date a guy who said consequences to her from a previous relationship, kids. Last I heard, he was doing time behind bars for assault. Yeah, consequences on them, consequences on the kids. If no one does what I say, everyone's getting assaulted, is basically what he was saying. I'm confused, and I don't want to victim blame, but how do you get with someone like that and they threaten you with consequences and you don't go, oh shit, my life is in danger. He's going to escalate and try to kill me one day because threatening physical harm for slights, that's a normal thing. Because those two women in that story normalized something that is very much not normal. To me, that says there's gotta be a subsect of people out there that, I guess from conditioning from childhood, just accept that and don't see it as a threat to themselves or something that they need to leave the relationship for. Regardless, I'm glad you got out of there, OP, because this just went from bad to incredibly worse, like much worse than it should have been. As always, thank you for the story, and I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments down below. Our next post is by user ThrowRA Cheating02, and it's titled, "My husband got a blowjob from a stripper at his brother's bachelor party. He broke my heart so much. We've been married since 2016 and together since 2013. I'm pregnant. He knew I was pregnant when he cheated. I hired a divorce lawyer today. I never thought I would be here. I will owe spousal support for a time, but I would rather pay than stay with him. I can't stay with him after this. I cried for 2 hours after I saw the lawyer." Bruh XDU says, "The amount of stories about cheating during bachelors and bachelorette parties is wild. Why don't people just stop doing dumb shit like this? What even is the appeal of strippers at these things? At my bachelor party, my best man planned out a whole day of whiskey tasting, paintballing, and basically gluttony. The best bachelor party I went to involved laser tag, bowling, cigars, too much pizza, and a lot of alcohol. I don't know why anyone would ever hire a stripper for something like this." Salty Danger Hands says, "I'm sorry you find yourself here, but I do want to commend you on your self-respect and dignity with which you're conducting yourself here. You're going to have a child. You are setting a wonderful example for them from the start. This sucks, but you have reason to be proud of yourself here. Yes, this. Taking care of yourself is always worth it. You are your own #1 priority here in this situation. Best of luck." I couldn't agree more with that. It's just really gross that people want blowjobs and sexual favors at a bachelor party or a bachelorette party. Like, cool, let me just trust all of these people for me to cheat with some random that could or could not have any number of diseases and screw up my relationship. This is such a good example and such a good time to screw up my relationship. I am very smart. Honestly, OP, if your husband is the type to do that at a bachelor party, he's probably not the type that should be married to you. And as unfortunate as it is to be having a kid with him like that, it is fortunate that he makes an ass of himself and gives you a reason to divorce him and go find someone that isn't a monstrous piece of shit. And now, onto the updates. Background from my original post. My husband got a blowjob from a stripper during his brother's bachelor party. I found out a few days later because he sent me a text about it that was meant for his brother. My husband left work early to come home and delete it from my phone, but I had already seen it. He played it off and told me nothing happened. A few days later, his brother got married, and after the reception, my husband told me what he had done with the stripper. The day after the wedding, he said he was making up nonsense because he had too much to drink at the reception. Several days after the wedding, he came to me in tears and confessed that it was all true and he did get oral sex from the stripper. He tried to blame it on being drunk, but he later admitted that he didn't drink as much as he pretended to and wasn't really drunk at either the bachelor party or the reception. The best man had apparently kept the groom away from any shenanigans with the strippers. The best man did not drink anything since he was the designated driver. The other men at the bachelor party, besides the groom, the best man, and my husband, were single, so they were not cheating with how they acted with the strippers. I was pregnant when this happened. I hired a divorce lawyer after my husband confessed. Our divorce was finalized 11 months ago. My ex-husband and I alternate weeks with our son. He's 19 months old now. There was a lot of discussion in the comments of my original post about divorce law and my ex-husband being at fault. However, in my state, divorce is purely no fault, and the court does not consider fault in the division of assets. Those are divided 50-50. I was ordered to pay alimony since I earn twice what my husband does. I have 7 more months of alimony payments to make. I'm an actuary, and my ex-husband is a carpet installer, and the law was clear on how alimony works. My ex-husband did not have overnight visits with our son until I stopped breastfeeding, and leading up to our son's first birthday, we slowly transitioned to overnight visits. Once we worked up to alternating weeks with our son, I began to pay child support. I do admit that although my ex-husband was a terrible husband, he is a good father. We are co-parenting amicably, and we don't bring up the past. I don't regret getting the divorce. I wanted to post an update to thank everyone since I received so much support in my last post, and there were too many comments to reply to individually. Dear Parsnip 6802 says, "He blew up his whole family for a blowjob. I hope it was worth it for him. What a loser." UCSD Phoenix says, "It's wild how a moment of weakness can ruin everything. Total lack of respect." Harlequin Madness says, "I don't understand people that say he was a horrible husband but is a good father. No, he's not. If he were a good father, he wouldn't have cheated and blown up the family. A good father wouldn't jeopardize their child's security and home for an effing blowjob." Sissy Jones says, "Hoped that was the best blowjob of his effing life. Cost him his marriage of almost 10 years and the chance to be a full-time parent to his child." Dark Ella 30 says, "He gets a monthly alimony super check for years. OP's being really cool and amicable. He doesn't have to parent full-time, he's single and ready to mingle. Maybe that's hard on him, but it seems like he's got a really soft landing." She said she only had 7 more months of alimony to pay. I'm assuming they weren't married long. Onion Man says, "That stripper should be advertising, 'Head so good you'll get divorced.' Bet it's not the first time. It probably wasn't even all that good. It's gonna keep him up at night for decades, and not for being mind-blowing." Yeah, it's not for being mind-blowing, that's for sure. Although, it could have been mind-blowing in the moment, but it was definitely not worth tanking that relationship, that's for sure. And going back to what Harlequin Madness says, with the "he was a horrible husband but a good father," it's kind of giving the same energy as, "Oh, we have a perfect relationship except for this one thing." Though I get what OP meant by saying that, you don't want to continue to shit on him after he's already paid the price, yes. But his reputation is forever going to have that stain. I don't think he can completely be a good father, because a good father wouldn't do that. But yeah, maybe he's just an okay person. And there's nothing wrong with being an okay person. It's not a good father though, that's for sure. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you for the story, OP. I very much appreciated that one. I hope all continues to go well for you into the future. I really hope this doesn't happen to you again. And thank you for giving people a framework as to what they should do if their husband ever gets a blowjob from a stripper and texts them the evidence of that. I'd love to know what you guys think of this one down below in the comments. Let me know. Anyway, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.